So we've got a stimulus update or non-update, as the case may be. So the Senate's skinny bill, the slimmed down package, $300 billion, much less than what was proposed weeks ago, failed to advance in the Senate after predictably every Democrat voted against it, joined by Rand Paul. So it failed to make cloture.
Yeah.
Are they even going to try anything else beyond that? I sort of doubt it. I mean, I think what our assessment has been, which seems to be borne out, is that at this point, they're just trying to message around who gets the blame. The preliminary negotiations also around the government shutdown, there'd been an idea that maybe that would put some pressure on the sides to negotiate, and you could include the coronavirus stimulus as part of that package. Well, the signaling from the Democrats and from Steve Mnuchin on their preliminary deal is what they call a clean budget extension, meaning no stimulus there either. So, look, you won't be surprised to hear any of this news, but it looks like at this point, you know, their messaging bill of their $300 billion to be able to say, look, we tried and it's all the Democrats' fault, that has officially failed.
Yeah, and look where we are right now. Just yesterday, we got these unemployment numbers. Let's throw that up there on the screen. We got approximately 1.7 million new unemployment claims. This is going to be complicated. You might read stories that say we got 884,000 last year, but it's important to also include the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, which is under the executive order. Now, a lot of the people who are applying under that are actually contract workers. And so, in a way, and gig workers. So what we're really doing is underreporting the amount of new unemployment claims that have filed in across the United States. Now, I mean, it's fallen to 884,000. That's actually an increase over last week, and it remains troublingly close to 1 million. And look, I mean, before this, the record all time was like in the 600,000s, like 20 or 30 years ago, and now it's week after week after week after week, and we continue to remember that the most important number of all time is permanent job loss. Is that permanent job loss, and this one continued to tick up. It continues to actually accelerate at a faster pace than the 2008 recession and the dot-com recession before that. So that permanent job loss figure, it takes months, many times years, in order to get back those jobs, if at all. As we saw with the Great Recession, so many of the people who got kicked out of the economy, they just left forever. Labor force participation rate dropped dramatically. That's part of the reason why the unemployment rate was okay, because the way it's calculated means that if you're not out there looking for a job, then you don't actually qualify. But that's still, somebody has to pay for you. I'm not even saying it's the government, your relatives, like whatever. The social strain of so many people not looking for work is a disaster. And I think that that's exactly where we're headed. And Congress, every month that they let the permanent job loss continue, that's another year of policy it's going to take to fix it. That's basically how I look at it right now.
And they've just given up, and they walk around like this is a normal time, and it's insane to me. That's the part of it that just drives me crazy, is they have zero urgency around this because they don't care, because it's not their donors, it's not their friends, it's like invisible to them. I read this long piece, it's really worth taking a look at in the Washington Post. I actually might do a radar on it next week, about this motel in Florida, where it's sort of like a place of last resort. When you don't have the money to get together the first, last, and deposit to get an apartment, even, you know, a relatively affordable apartment, this is where people have ended up. And what really struck me is a number of the individuals that they interview had some kind of house, and they lost it in the recession, and they ended up here, and they're working at fast food, right? They're working in the service sector, low wage jobs, very precarious, the types of work that has been especially hard hit during the pandemic. And so they got knocked down by the financial crash, and now they're just in completely desperate straits. In this particular motel that they highlighted, the landlord actually basically just abandoned it because of the eviction moratorium. People aren't paying all their rent, so the landlord can't makes their payment. The electricity gets cut off. There's sewage, raw sewage streaming into the parking lot where kids play. There's trash piled high. And this story is playing out all across America. People who are trying, they're trying to work, they're trying to put it together, and there is no lifeline for them whatsoever, and there's no representation for them. It is like they're invisible in this country. And you can see this massive divide. I mean, this is one more indicator of the divergence in our economy, if we can throw F2B up there, this remote working stat. So look, again, things that you know, but look, if you're making a good amount of money, if you're making over 100K, chances are you're working at home. You're able to work remotely. You haven't lost your job. Maybe a pain. Your kids may be annoying the crap out of you. I certainly relate to that. But you're doing just fine. The lower you go down on the income scale, the more unlikely it is that you're going to be able to telework, the more unstable your job is ultimately going to be. You may have lost it. You may have been thrown onto the front lines at risk to yourself and your health and your safety and your life and gotten no extra pay for it, very little protection. And you're completely invisibilized by the political culture here.
And now you're at home and your kid is trying to learn how to read on Zoom. It's like this is really what we're asking of people, which is you're trying to get a job, no unemployment insurance, so you can even stay at home with your kid. I mean, what is the social cost of a year of lost education? A year of lost, and not even just wages, support, no housing, living in the condition like that. It stunts you for years when you're a child. I mean, and as an adult, it scars you for years. And we're willingly, it's a choice. I mean, I say that all the time. It's a choice that Washington has made, and you should never forget it.
Absolutely not. We certainly won't here, and we'll have more Rising for you after this.